So they do underground, like, stinging someone, in case anyone doesn't know who Project Veritas is.
Yeah.
So they'll send a journalist and they'll record him for a few months, and then they'll get the things that he says when he's not on air to be like, look, this is who he really is. Is this appropriate or not? And a lot of the time it's crimes. So, but this one was PBS.
But before we go on, like, Project Veritas have done some amazing work as well. Like, I mean, back when the primaries were going on, they embedded themselves with Bernie staffers and found them to be open Leninists who wanted a revolution and that cities were going to burn and things like this. I mean, exactly what Gates was saying earlier. Like, these leftists were saying, look, if we don't win, cities are going to burn. And so it's like, right. Okay.
They also had a guy in Antifa for, I think it was a year and a half, collecting evidence on them. Mm-hmm. So they really play the long game as well.
Yeah, they've been doing amazing work. Yeah. Amazing.
So they got a PBS lawyer. They had some, I assume, some hot girls hang out with him, buy him drinks, see what he really thinks. And they asked him about the election and what was going on with the Capitol and everything. And he mentioned that if Trump wins and they go down there, we should surround the limo. And then they're like, well, for what? What are you going to do? It's like, we'll take the Molotov cocktails. And then we'll throw the Molotov cocktails, presumably, at the limo and kill Trump.
Jesus.
Like, okay. So
this is a PBS?
Yeah, this is a PBS lawyer. So he's a lawyer for PBS.
What a maniac.
So Project Veritas went down to him and kind of like, here's the footage. What do you make of it? And his response was the funniest thing. He turns around and says, oh, they're a type of cocktail. We were talking about cocktails we were drinking. It's like, what?
Everyone knows what a Molotov cocktail is?
As if, like, Project Veritas are going to be like, yeah, oh, it's just a type of drink.
Right, so you were going to surround Trump's limo and drink drinks at him, were you? I mean, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is really cringe. So, that wasn't the only thing, though, as we had the Fox News clip playing.
Yeah.
The Fox News had an interview with Project Veritas for some extra stuff. So he also mentions that, what are you going to do with the country? You know, the girls are like, well, it's all fascist, right? And he's like, yeah, what are you going to do? And he says, okay, we'll take MAGA kids and we'll put them in re-education camps so that they can be re-educated and then be released into society. Presumably watching PBS all day.
Do we have a clip of that? Can we play the clip of that?
You want to get the clip of him talking about it? I don't think I clipped it.
Okay. But this, I mean, we've got all the articles, we've got the videos and stuff.
Yeah, we'll have the links. But there's
And for anyone who wants to get the reading list of everything that we include in these, you can go to lotus.com, and on the top right of the website, you can see the latest podcast, and on that page, all of the links to sources that we're using are on there. People have been asking, and that's where it is.
Yeah. He also talks about COVID in red states, saying that the COVID cases in red states is a good thing because it means that less Trump supporters will be there.
And some of them might die.
Yep, and they won't be out voting and things like that. It's like, okay, pretty rude,
macabre,
to put it lightly.
Yep.
And of course, PBS, I don't know if they did the right thing or not, but they announced that he had left their organization and no longer worked for them. Mm-hmm. If we can get that up, that's the Twitter link.
Can we get the Twitter one up?
So yeah, in response to the Project Veritas, this employee no longer works with PBS as a mid-level staff attorney. He did not speak on behalf of our organization, nor does he make editorial decisions. Okay, fine.
There is no place for hateful rhetoric at PBS, and this individual's views in no way reflect our own values or opinions.
We strongly Trump supporters and re-educating them.
Yeah. I'm honestly though, right? I feel like it's on a knife edge, right? It could have easily been them saying, "Yeah, get ready," we stand by what he said, and we're not going to fire him.
I was surprised that they did this, but it's not actually that they fired him. He resigned himself.
Oh, right.
So I wonder really what went on there. So if you can get that up, that's the AP saying that PBS lawyer resigns after being caught in Veritas sting.
Good job. That's a scalp that Veritas have taken.
It's also mentioned there that he said Donald Trump was close to Hitler, but to be honest, it's not really new anymore. Like all of them think that.
Yeah, who isn't? Who isn't?
Yeah. But I wanted to talk about this because it's not just that. It's Project Veritas will go undercover, get the good stings, the things that everyone's thinking is really happening. And the response they get is awful. Like, I just typed in Project Veritas voter fraud, and this is what comes up in YouTube. I know it's a little bit small, but all of those are mainstream media. So you got CNN, CBS This Morning, TLDR News US. You'll notice none of them are Project Veritas. None of those links. And even the ones that are there, they're all trying to disprove Project Veritas.
Yeah.
Like the first two, Project Veritas fraud
hostile.
story.
Yeah, it's all hostile.
Says he was bribed. There's one there saying that, claim election fraud, evidence scant. It's like, okay. Yeah. So if you can get the next one, that's the evidence scant one, the YouTube link. Like, it's just a smear merchants thing where they're just outright lying. They're not taking the issue seriously. Mm-hmm. And then the next one where they're saying he's been bribed. And my understanding is Project Veritas are suing them for this and saying, no, you will make a retraction, like we have a wall of retractions in our office.
They've got hundreds of retractions.
And it shows that they're solid. Like, they've got the video evidence. They're not going to put something out that jeopardizes their relationship.
Yeah.
Because why would you?
Yeah, and Project Veritas have built up a very good reputation in the last 4 years.
So you can get the next one. This is a story they broke a while back about election fraud. So this lady here in the chair, you can see her back.
Raquel Rodriguez?
Yeah, so she used to work for Democrats and now works for a Republican, well, did work for a Republican congressman as a political consultant. And this is in Austin. And they managed to get her on tape saying that, yes, she commits voter fraud for him, has done it in the past for other people, presumably the Democrats, and says that, she knows it's a crime, but she does it anyway because that gives her power and also it gives her a good job. God. We have some quotes from her saying that it's about $5 to $8 a vote. So if you want to harvest a vote, that's the going rate.
Right.
And then when you jack that up, it's $55,000 for 5,000 votes. That's a price she gives, and she says, "Yeah, we can do that." Sorry, daily siren.
But she's just open about this.
Yeah, but 5,000 votes for $55,000. I mean, you think about Georgia. What was that? 11,000 votes?
Yeah. So 100 grand, and you've got Georgia.
You half that. What's that? 6,000?
Yeah.
That would be a swing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. 55 grand. I mean, would you pay that?
I mean, if I really wanted to get elected.
If I was a corrupt...
if I was a corrupt criminal.
Yeah.
And I had lots and lots of slush money from the Democrats.
And the undercover journalist asks her how many she's done right now in this election that was going on. And she says, I've already done 1,800 votes. And she brags that she's probably going to bring in about 7,000 votes. This is just her.
1,800 votes?
Yes.
So she's made 20 grand off of this already.
And then she's going to bring down 7,000 votes. So that's more than 55 grand.
So yeah, she's going to be looking at 100 grand by the end of it.
Yeah.
So it's lucrative.
Very lucrative. But that's just one person. That's the thing to keep in mind. This is one political consultant for one potential congressman at the time.
Unreal.
And, okay, we'll replicate that over the country. How bad is this? That's why I take these claims in which people say we think there's something going on. As I'm not just going to fully dismiss it.
No.
Let's go for
I mean,
the
there are lots of examples of these people doing it and admitting it on bloody tape.
Yeah, and this is the absurdity of the media trying to say that nothing's going on or we don't care.
Yeah, this was a perfect election. It was the most secure election in history. It's like, yeah, maybe from outside influence, but from inside...
Are you not going to take it seriously?
Yeah.
And it's not just, these wacky Project Veritas people have released this, and people were accusing them of, like, how dare you try and, mislead the American public with stories like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, guess what? She's arrested. They got her. The Attorney General for Texas has arrested her for crimes of election fraud that she admitted to on camera.
Break out the mission accomplished banners.
Yeah, literally. So you got the quote here. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton today announced the arrest of Rachel Rodriguez for election fraud, illegal voting, unlawful assisting people voting by mail, and unlawfully possessing an official ballot. So she was literally going up to them. The footage shows. She takes her ballot. She's like, "Oh, you voted a Democrat here. Oh, sorry, a Republican. You need to vote Democrat here." And then they're like, "Wait, what?" She's like, "You wanted to vote all Democrat, right? Well, you voted a Republican here." And then they take back to the car, and the journalist is like, "But you made her change her vote." She's like, "Yeah, that's how we do it." I was like, okay, so there is no debate here about whether or not she's guilty. He's arrested her. We've got the video evidence. You can watch it for yourself. She's definitely guilty.
And she's not the first in Texas either. There was another one a couple of weeks ago who was also arrested, not because of Project Veritas, but just because I can't remember the name. I should have got it really in advance for this, but there was another one a few weeks ago that was arrested for the same thing.
So she's looking at 20 years in prison.
Yep.
Probably going to get quite a few of them, and she deserves it.
Absolutely, 100%.
What she deserves. Although I love the quote from the Attorney General here. So you could see the headline, which was San Antonio election fraudster arrested for widespread vote harvesting and fraud. A little bit of a jab at the media there, especially YouTube and people like them, saying there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud. Well, she's engaging in widespread fraud in Texas.
Well, is it widespread? I mean, it seems to be targeted and local, to be honest.
But how do you define widespread? If she's engaged in previous campaigns for other candidates in the area, well, widespread within Texas... Or at least Austin. Yeah.
But for YouTube's terms of services purposes, we're going to say that this is specific and targeted voter fraud.
Yeah, the Attorney General is a liar. That's YouTube's position. Yeah. So he gave a quote here saying, "Many continue to claim there's no such thing as election fraud. We've always known that such a claim was false and misleading, and today we have additional hard evidence."
Yep.
Yeah, you do. So all these people trying to claim there's no fraud, just send them this. Send them this. Because they're liars.
Yeah, it's not even that they're liars. I think they're being deliberately misled by the media and the Democrat establishment.
Because they know. They know that these problems exist.
Exactly. And notice it's always one way, right? There's no Republicans who are being arrested for voter fraud.
Well, she was working for a Republican, I want to say that.
Yeah, but she was a Democrat.
She works for either. The individuals who do this, they
Okay,
don't seem to care. Because, I mean, it's $100,000.
They're just in it for the money, right? Fair enough.
Yeah.
But the point being, this is why I continually can't shake the feeling that the Democrats feel illegitimate, because they feel like they're not based on anything real. They feel like they're based on. I'm not going to carry on.
So how many Rachel Rodriguez's are there in the country?
Yeah.
How many in swing states?
Good question.
So I have one last video to play, which was a video of James O'Keefe giving a speech, and I think he deserves it. So let's end on that.
Someone's been arrested. I get an email last night from one Brian Schwartz from NBC Universal, who emails me and asks, quote, Project Veritas is also a bunch of groups that align with the president's claims that some form of voter fraud was taking place in the election. They're trying to shame me for doing my job and reporting on this individual, breaking the law. They're trying to make the argument that somehow I'm, quote, aligned with the president's agenda. It's called journalism, Mr. Schwartz. Maybe you should try it instead of attacking my team for doing our jobs, because had we not done this, you would not know about the fraud that's taking place. Is it millions of votes? Well, it appears to be at least tens of thousands, and those are the only ones we know about. Raquel Rodriguez is the tip of the iceberg, and we need more of it, not less. So for those of you in the news media who says there is no such thing as voter fraud and we're trying to undermine elections like Mr. Schwartz here, take a seat. You've done nothing. You do nothing but punditry and censorship and attack those who actually do their jobs. And for those of you who are in our audience, for those of you who are hopeless and cynical and bemoan how tragic it is what's happening in our world and our society, follow me. I'm going to show you something. You know what? You can have hope, because this is a consequence. I know it's not the consequence that you want, but it's the beginning. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Yesterday, a lawyer for PBS gets fired because we caught him on tape committing acts of violence. Today, the Attorney General of Texas arrests someone after we caught her on tape committing voter fraud, and there's thousands more like it. So is it enough? It isn't enough. Should we do more? Yes, we should do more. But if you want to change the world, you start by changing yourself.